At least 85% of the world is largely masculine, maybe 10–15% is somewhat feminine, that too, they're guilty of being feminine. A masculine energy approaching the divine as a woman will not really work for their own well-being, because the feminine emotion, when it becomes subtle, naturally, knowingly or unknowingly, willingly or unwillingly, it becomes an offering. My great-grandmother for sure would have been burnt as a witch. In India, they wouldn't burn, but they were afraid of her laughter. She's definitely a witch. Someone who can convert a stone into goddess, can't he convert a woman into goddess or a man into a god? Should it be not possible? Very much possible.
The first question is from Mr. Shankar from Tirupalli. Namaskaram, Sadhguru. My wife is a wonderful woman, but she has such a sharp tongue.
Oh, I'm glad, huh? Okay, there is a but. Please tell me about the but.
But she has such a sharp tongue.
Ooh.
Sometimes I am afraid even to go home. Why are some women made like this? They are wonderful on one level, but quite terrifying on another level. Please throw some light.
Light is coming up. Well, because generally I'm saying, because some women will argue about this, generally women have less muscular strength than a man. When situations go a little out of control, man wants to use his hands because that's all he's got. So a woman, right from her young age, she sharpens her tongue because she knows her muscles are not as big and strong as a man's muscles, so her tongue is maybe way sharper than yours. You can't wag it like her. Generally, this could be true for most people. So, it's not just a sharp tongue. You know, in India, you're from Tiruchinnappalli, I think Navaratri is close by. It's all about the Devis or the goddesses in India. Except a few who are very civilized kind, rest of them, you heard of them? Rakini, Dakini, Lankini, Chinnamasta, Chandi, Kali, Bhairavi, you heard of all of them. Whoa, these are terrifying women, usually tongue hanging out, you've seen blood dripping sometimes from their mouths because they'll bite off your head. But we made such women worship-worthy in our country because of some other quality that they have, like your wife. She's a wonderful woman, wonderful on one level, but quite terrifying on another level. So is Bhairavi, so is Chandi, so is Chamundi, so is Kali, so is Chinnamasta, many of them. They are wonderful on one level, quite terrifying on another level. So it is your skill to get the wonderfulness of their quality towards you, and their terrifying quality goes towards somebody else. The wonderfulness should come for you. That is a skill you have to learn. But the whole idea of why the goddesses are like this is, for you to understand, if there is a wonderful quality, either in terms of talent or intelligence or brilliance or some genius within a person, or right now we're talking about women, if there are such qualities in a woman that she has certain streak of genius, or she has extraordinary talents, or she is super wonderful in something, we don't want to surrender her intelligence, her brilliance, her genius, her talent, her skills at the altar of good behavior. Because you can train your puppy dog to behave well. If you want good behavior, that's why everybody these days, instead of getting married, they're getting a dog, you know. Because you can train your puppy for good behavior. So if good behavior is all you're looking for, then that's what you should settle for. But if you're looking for other possibilities, not necessarily always, but sometimes it comes with not so good behavior, maybe sometimes with certain amount of nastiness. It depends what values you're looking for in your life. But I know you are saying, Mr. Shankar, hey, what's your second name? Pillai? Now I'm getting ideas. Well, if you're that one, I'm sure you're skillful enough to handle this terrifying situations. Well, but never surrender. Human intelligence, genius, brilliance, talent, competence at the altar of good behavior. Good behavior can be learnt. Intelligence cannot be learnt. Genius cannot be learnt. You have to unleash it, you cannot learn it. In the process of unleashing a significant possibility, in case, not necessarily, don't take this as an endorsement of your bad behavior. I'm not saying that. If you want to have some bad behavior, you should show some extraordinary talent or brilliance or intelligence. Otherwise, you have no right to throw yourself around. Even then, you have no right. But never surrender significant aspects of human life in the form of intelligence, competence, brilliance, genius at the altar of good behavior, because good behavior can be learnt and it's only socially significant, it has no life significance as such. So, the wonderful wife that you have, if she is like a rose plant, she has 2 roses or 1 rose and 100 thorns. You just have to nourish her so that there are also 100 roses for the 100 thorns. Well, the number of thorns for the size of the plant it stays constant. But the number of flowers can be enhanced. I think that's what you should do with this wonderful wife of yours. I'm sure she's a wonderful woman, but little tongue-lashing department is strong. You must find some other victim for her, and you must get the wonderful part of her.
This question comes from Prasanth in Chennai. Namaskaram Sadhguru. In our culture, many women devotees have looked upon Shiva as their husband. For example, Kara Ikal Amayar, Akama Devi, Punyakshi. But no male devotee has looked upon a female deity in that dimension. Why haven't male devotees looked upon female deities in that angle? Is it right or wrong to look up that way?
Well, you want to marry Bhairavi, you're welcome. This is why we made the female deities so fierce. So fierce, you would only… I know in the closing minutes, if I enter into this dimension, it'll create a lot of confusion. Well, let me sow some confusion and later on, some other day, we'll clear this. Between the masculine and the feminine, I'm not talking male and female, I'm between the masculine and the feminine. The emotions that spring from what is feminine is always in the form of an offering. The emotions that spring from the dimension that we refer to as masculine, you being a male or a female is nothing to do with this. The emotions that spring from the masculine dimension is always to possess, to conquest. So in that context, approaching the divine as context will be simply waste of time and energy. It has to come in the form of an offering. So that is why women developed a whole tradition, if they are very feminine. Not all women are so absolutely feminine. In today's world, for the sake of survival, they're trying to make themselves more and more masculine because the framework of the world is entirely masculine. Very few spaces left where feminine can be expressed or feminine can find unabashed expression of the feminine is very limited in modern societies. Very, very limited space. Rest is all masculine. I would say, trying to be fair, at least 85% of the world is largely masculine, maybe 10–15% is somewhat feminine. That too, they're guilty of being feminine. Like that, they're feminine. They're not simply feminine. So, the feminine needs to be developed in the world if you want to have a balanced feel to life around you. It's important, feminine should come up at least 50%. So, approaching a masculine energy, approaching the divine as a woman will not really work for their own well-being. Because the feminine emotion, when it becomes subtle, naturally, knowingly or unknowingly, willingly or unwillingly, it becomes an offering. In that context, it works. That is the reason that this has been evolved in that sense, because the idea is to become an offering, not to become a conquest, even there. If we can consecrate a stone to become a goddess, if a human being is truly willing, why can't we consecrate a human body to become a goddess? Either out of her own sadhana she can become one, or someone who can convert a stone into goddess. Can't he convert a woman into goddess or a man into a god? Should it be not possible? Very much possible. You know my great-grandmother. People used to say, she is a devil of a woman. When I saw her, she was over 100 years of age. They called her a devil of a woman not because she ever did any harm to anybody, but she had a laugh. If she laughed, the entire street shook. Like that she laughed. She lived to be 113, 113 years of age. She was married into a very rich family, a big land-holding family. When she was 68 years of age, after her husband had died, she left the family, went out and built a small temple for herself. She did not install a god, she installed herself in the temple. She'll do her own thing there, her own type of worship, her own type of everything, and she can tell you anything, you know. When she's there sitting in the temple, she can just tell you about anything in the world. You know the history of Europe, where spiritual process was so widespread and how systematically it was uprooted and thrown out when they wanted to establish an organized religion. So all those millions of witches who were burned are just those women who exhibited certain qualities which did not fit into the logic of that society. My great-grandmother for sure would have been burnt as a witch. In India, they wouldn't burn, but they were afraid of her laughter. She's definitely a witch. So, we need witches. We need witches in the world. We need women who are more capable than their logic. We need men also like that. We need human beings who are capable of perceiving, understanding, experiencing life beyond the horrible limitations of logic. I want to at least produce 3 to 5 real Devis, really, I mean flesh and blood women, to convert them into true goddesses of different qualities, and people can experience them as such. We have enough people with sufficient energy, we just have to put them through certain processes to get them there. In energy, they are there. It is just that they don't have an understanding of their energy to make it in a certain way. They're just loosely energetic right now. We can easily turn that around.